Hey guys, it's Will Dixon. I'm here with Technomancers Team 1758. I'm one of the mentors for them. And I'm also here with...
Deep Patel, and I'm an upcoming programmer for the team.
Alright, and we're covering Java Basics 2 today. So I guess, I wouldn't call it intermediate. It's still basic material, but they're simple things. So I'll let Deep get to it. What things are you interested in right now with Java?
Alright, so say I wanted to work with two variables, or pretty much anything, such as add, subtract, divide, or anything of that sort. How would I do that, and what actually is that called?
Alright, so if we're going to talk about numbers and math, we're going to be working with operators. Operators are like add, subtract, multiply, divide, and there's one called modulo.
Okay.
Which is something different that most people don't know. But most people do know about add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So, just as an example, let's just add two integers. Int a equals 1, and int b equals 7, right? Let's actually make it a little interesting. Let's do 2 and 7. Alright, so there's a few things we can do with it, right? We can,
Sorry, I'm not sure.
So we can do a few things. We can add the two variables together. We can subtract them. And those are your normal symbols. You're used to these symbols. We have the addition and the subtraction. Let me make that a little bigger. There we are. Addition and subtraction. We do have multiplication. And since multiplication, it does not matter. It's not an x because x is a character, so we use the star instead. But with multiplication, a times b and b times a are the same thing, so it doesn't matter. With divide, it's a little different because you can do a divided by b. So we're gonna say div a for sort of dividing a. And dividing b by a. What's different between these two, or the two dividers, is you can only divide by integer. Well, I say only. When you divide by an integer by another integer, you're going to get an integer back. Even if it is supposed to be a decimal value, it's going to truncate the decimals and not care about it. So a way around it, let's do b divided by a again. I'm gonna spell this one out though. Equals what we call I think it's a double is what I want. So we're gonna cast. Casting, it means turning a variable into something else. So we're gonna cast b into a double, and we're also gonna cast a into a double. And what we're gonna do, because this will return a double, it won't return a int. There we are. And what this will do is it'll actually return the decimal value for me. And so just to prove these few points, we're going to do system.out.println a bunch of times. So we're going to say sum is the sum. This plus sign doesn't mean adding numbers like this does up here. This means concatenate, which means take this string and add a different string to it. And Java is smart enough to know how to turn an integer into a string. So we don't have to worry about that. Sum, subtract, multiply, divide a, divide b, and then divide. So subtract, which will be sub, multiply, which will be mult. We have divide a. Well, dividing a is what I'm going to call it. And then we're going to be dividing b. And I'm going to call this one dividing a again. But you'll see the difference between the two, even though this is dividing b, excuse me. But you'll see the difference between the two. So let me go ahead and build this real quick. There we are. We got it built. Oh, I'm building it again apparently. There we are. And so here's our different values. You can see that the sum of 7 plus 2 is 9. If we subtract 2 minus 7, it is negative 5. We can multiply two values, so 7 times 2 is 14. If we divide 2 by 7, of course it's 0, because you can't... It would be smaller than 0. It's a very small number. But then when we divide b by a, it is 3. Not 3.5 like here, but 3 because it truncates that 0.5 because we divided an integer by an integer. But the divide b is 3.5 because we made sure that both of our values are actually doubles, and so forth we can get a double out of it. Does that kind of clear things up with operators and how to manipulate those values?
Yes, a lot actually.
Alright. So, what else would you like to cover?
Okay, so say that I had a program and there would be multiple outcomes, which would require a user to input some sort of value of something. So if the user would have input this one value, it would return this one statement, and if you were to input another value, it would return another statement. So what would you call those, and how would you work those out?
Alright, so you would use what's called an if statement. So if user input is this, then do something else. If user statement is this, do something else. Or else, if I can't handle it the other two, do something else in general. So these are called if, else if, and else statements. And they look very similar to this. Ignore the build errors, because I'm currently just roughing it out. So that's what an if, else if, and an else statement. So if input equals something, right? Then let's do system.out.println hello, right? But let's say they input something else. They input hi, because they already did something, so they're gonna input hi, for example. Println how are you? Alright, and just in case, if they put something I can't understand, we're going to put this in the out statement, because I don't know what they're asking for. I've already I covered the two things that I know about. So now I'll sound like a legit computer saying, sorry, I don't understand. So there's a few things here. We have to cover what these operators are. These are called binary operators. So, not binary operators, Boolean operators. Boolean values are true or false. So, you call truthy values or falsy values. Very blunt, true or false. Notice how there's a double equals, stands for equals. If left equals right. This does not equal, let me put in parentheses, not the same as a single equal sign. That single equal sign means to assign a value to something. Double equals actually checks to see if the left side equals the right side. If so, return true. If not, return false. Another one, which is opposite of equals, is not equals, right? But we also have less than, greater than, we have less than or equal to, less than, equal, I'm going to put just that, just shorten it up for me, and greater than or equal to. And most languages can compare many different things together. String values, for example, integers to make sure that, or numbers in general, so not just integers but doubles and floats, but they got to be of the same type or else you might get different values that you're not expecting. So these are the simple operators, or Boolean operators. So now let's fix this input, and I'm going to actually take the args So we're gonna say string input equals, I think it's string dot join. I have to hack something together for it to work correctly. But there we are. Just know that this takes all the arguments that I pass in through the command line and assigns it to input as a string so that I can use it down here. Alright. So, let's actually build it out. And let's pass in nothing, for example. Right? Sorry, I don't understand. Apparently I've had a little single quote there, which is going to bother me if I don't get rid of it. So, sorry, I don't understand. Well, I didn't say anything. So, let's say something. Right? It says hello. Because what happened is it recognized that my input was something. So, if input equals something, it's going to output hello. And it skipped the rest. Because that's what an if statement does, is it drops out of it. It won't even check these two statements. It's done, because if this, that's it. Then if we do hi, how are you? Right? It checked this was false, so therefore it didn't go into it. Then it found this, oh, I do understand that. So then it went into it and said, how are you? And then I say fine, and then even though I input something, input does not equal that, input does not equal hi, and therefore it went into the else statement and said, sorry, I don't understand. So that's the basic if, else if, and else statement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you were talking, I was actually doing a little bit of research on if else myself.
Okay.
And I was actually came across something called a for while statement. So could you elaborate on what those are?
Okay, so there's a for statement and while statements. So going back, I'm going to keep the Boolean operators because those are important for both of these statements. This handles a lot of logic for you if you know how to handle them correctly. I'm not sure if I'm going to need this, so I'm just going to comment it out. So let's see. Let's do a for loop, right? A for loop is simple, like for this value, do something. A for loop is usually used with integers, and you'll usually see it as an I for an iterator. But for just purposes, I'm actually going to call it iterator. You have to set it a default value. So for an integer named iterator, and it starts at 0, semicolon, I want to say do something if the next statement is true. So let's do it 10 times. So if the iterator is less than 10, keep going in this loop. And then we need to tell it how to actually increment this iterator. And that plus plus is another operator that I didn't cover before, but that just increases instead of so I plus plus is the same as I equals I plus 1, right? So I plus plus is just another way of adding 1 to itself. And so I'm just incrementing this value. And so we'll just do system.out.println, and we'll print iterator out. And build it. And let's run it. And you'll notice it goes from 0 to 9, right? This is 10 values. It did go through that loop 10 times. If you count it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It went through this 10 times, but it started at 0. And that's why most things, like arrays and stuff, when you get further down along, you'll notice they start at index 0 and go up instead of index 1. And that's why this worked and went 10 times. So that's a for loop. We can do something similar in a while loop. So you'll notice this while loop is very similar, except now I need to actually int iterator. Let's set that equal to 0. So I'm setting the iterator outside of it right now. So we'll do iterator is less than 10, right? Then I could do system.out.println iterator, right? And then I need to make sure I increment it, or else I will actually have an infinite loop if I'm not careful. So we'll increment it, we'll build it, and we'll do it again, right? Same output. So you may ask, well, what's the point of having two things that do the same thing? Well, this just accepts a Boolean value, right? Whereas this for loop actually takes in a number, so it takes in the initial state, what to do, or when to loop, or loop if this statement is true, and how to increment. This while statement is actually slightly different. So I can say while try, or let's actually make this a Boolean value, right? So I'm going to call this a Boolean value of try again. And I'm going to make that equal false. Or make this equal to true. Right? And I'm going to put try again inside of here. So while try again, I can do something in here. So I'm going to kind of... I do need to have this or else I'm going to run into an infinite loop. So I'm going to put that there for now. There we are. So while try again, we're going to print out hello, right? But one key difference that I can do is if iterator is less than 10. Wait, if iterator is greater than or equal to 10, meaning it's gone over what we want to try again equals false, right? Because I don't want to try again. Else, meaning it doesn't equal greater than or equal to, I can increment the iterator. So now if I try this, let me comment this out because I don't want this coming into wherever it is. Let's build this. I actually got to build it again because I didn't save the file. There we are. You'll notice hello got printed out this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 times. The reason for the 11th is because it starts at 0. It prints out hello first and then iterates through. You know, if you follow the loop, that it makes sense. If I did this at 9, it will actually print out 10 times. Because it prints before it actually does the check to see if it should go through the loop again. So this becomes really powerful where I'm not actually doing an iterator, right? I'm actually doing something. And if something happens in that statement, I can tell it to stop the loop or not. That's a very, very powerful tool right there. So they're handled in different cases. There's also a thing as a for each loop. So int I in is, for example. But this requires an array of items. So we're going to call this is as a new array list of values of type int. Make this actually of type int as well. Why didn't it like that? This doesn't need to be integer. Yep, that's it. Still didn't like it. Anyways, just know that there's this thing called an array, and an array is just a list of items. And what this loop does is it takes a single item off of in that loop from the very beginning and sets it to I. So then I can do something on side of into I itself. But array cannot be resolved as type, so I might have to just do an array list as type integer here. There we are. And I'm wondering if I could set the values of them here. Apparently not. So if I do is.add, yep, I want to add 1 to this. So I'm adding 1 to the array list. Let's add another. We'll call this 3, and we'll call this 7. That way you know that it's not actually iterating through a number, it's actually iterating through this. We can do system.out.println, and we'll print I out. And if I build this, well, I say build it. Why did it? Oh, it did go through it all. I just don't have this stuff commented out because there we are. Is it still going through those loops? There we are. 1, 3, and 7. It actually went through these array lists and started printing them out for you. Which this becomes really powerful when you need to put stuff into a list and then you need to go through and read them all again. So, I think that covers most of the loops. The for each, for, and a while loop. Those are the main ones. So.
Alright. Yeah, that was pretty helpful. And also, looking at all these statements, I also came across another one called the switch statement. So, could you elaborate on that as well?
Yeah. A switch statement is very similar to a if statement. Just there's one difference here, that it's always, you have a key and a value. So, let's see, something with a switch statement. Let's bring this back in. We're gonna switch on the input. So if input is this, we're gonna do something with the value. If the value is something, right? I'm gonna use the value that we did before, right? Then system.out.println. What did I say? I said hello first, didn't I? And then I can put in another case. So instead of having to put if and then whoops, case colon. Why does it? What's wrong? Oh, there's 2. Okay. Break. Now if something, and then I said hi, it would say system.out.println. How are you? And then this default will be called if it couldn't find a case above it. System.out.println. Line. There we are. So this is going to do something very similar to the if statement, right? But the reason this is a little different is I'll show you a little nifty trick that can be helpful in some cases. I really haven't found too many though. But instead of having to do if, else if, else if, else if, else if, and keep doing that, you can use a switch statement because if input equals this, do this. If input equals this, do this. If input equals default, do this. And I did it again here. But so we'll build that and we'll run it with something. And you'll notice it says hello, right? I can also say hi because it told me hello, and it says how are you. But if I don't put anything in there, sorry, I don't understand. If I put something that it doesn't understand, it still puts something I don't understand. So this is very, very similar to an if statement. But what makes this nice, and there's some uses to it. Not all, there's not many, but there are some uses, especially in math. If I say something, right? What it's going to do without that break statement there is it's going to fall through and go to the next statement, and then since I don't have another break statement, it's going to fall through and do the default statement. So if I do something, oh, I didn't save it and build it. Give me a second. And there we are. Hello, how are you? Sorry, I don't understand. See how it fell through? Now I can go into the middle of it and say hi, and it falls through still, right? But if I don't say anything, it just stays at the last one. And I can tell it to only fall through on certain statements. So if I do the something and yep, here we are, something, it won't fall through. It'll say hello and stop. But if I say hi, now it's going to fall through to the next statement and say, sorry, I don't understand. So the switch statement is a little bit, it's a little bit more flexible than an if statement in the sense that you can fall through to the next case. But it only handles if this key is equal to this value. So only equals. It doesn't handle all these other operators that an if statement can handle. So you get pros and cons to both.
All right. Yeah, that was pretty helpful. So just to clear it up, whenever you would write break, that would be for any other input value that the user would put in.
Are you talking about like right here? You're talking about
the one, yeah, break right there.
Yeah, this is a special word. It says, hey, this equals this. Execute the code that comes right after it. And then when it sees this break statement, it automatically skips outside of the switch statement. So that break is a special keyword. It's not specific to any user input. It's a special keyword for switch statements.
Okay. I understand now.
Okay. Alright. Well, I think that's enough for today. Thank you, Deep. Those are very useful information that I think we covered today.
Alright, thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Thank you guys for watching. If you did like this video, please hit that thumbs up button down below. Also subscribe as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.